In the name of the Father. Father, you protect and strengthen those who hope in you. You heard the cry of your Son and kept him safe in your tent in the day of evil. Grant that your servants who seek your face in the time of trouble may see your goodness in the land of the living. Amen. That was from the Liturgy of the Hours. Somewhat relevant to today. As with most of our YCP events, I'll give you the texting number for just a second. It's great to see you guys. I see there's also a lot of new faces. For those who aren't familiar with YCP, we're part of a national organization for networking. As you noticed in the balloons, we're celebrating the end of our 4th year here in Detroit. YCP is the 13th chapter out of just recently 21 chapters as of last September. We were founded in Dallas, Texas about 11 years ago now, and along with you guys, there are a total number of about 1,300 young Catholic professionals that routinely come to events like this to be with peers in a safe networking environment, to learn more about their Catholic faith and how people, executives, and leaders in organizations can still maintain that relationship and that fidelity to their religion and their faith without having to sell out or give that in the stake for cash. I know I am often tempted by the drive to do better and try more things and give more of my free time to work, and not always prioritize. So it's great to come in and prioritize it. And on that similar note, our speaker tonight is someone who helps make sure her company prioritizes their faith well, and in a way that we might not always consider. So Beltramo is someone, a very unique person in skill set. She works for the Ascension Hospital Network and is the director of the director of the Chaplain Network. We'll leave it at that. And so across all of the Ascension hospitals, she manages a large group of the priests and the nuns and the other pastors, so that each of the churches or each of the hospitals have someone to deliver and tend to the spiritual needs. She's been doing that for quite a while, an advocate for the chaplaincy, a member of the National Association of Catholic Chaplains, which was that flyer you received on the way in, just something to learn more about, and I'm sure she'll touch upon that in her presentation. She is also involved locally on at the Catholic Foundation, as well as is a liturgical musician. So someone who would participate in her parish by playing music or singing to augment the worship of the Eucharist, as well as I'm sure she's also participated in hospitals and things of that nature to make the area more prayerful. And just as I guess as a fun fact for Bev, she's recently taken up pottery, and it's a fun little way to kind of balance and try other ways to network. Throughout today, if you have any questions or after her presentation, we'll do a brief Q&A series. Rather than trying to write down questions or pass the microphone around, you're welcome to just text them in and I'll get all of the numbers. So if you do think you'll have questions or want to write down, I'll give you guys the number right now. The number to text questions throughout the night is 313-483-7272. Again, 313-483-7272. It's also on any of the marketing material, the postcards, the small business cards, and things like that, so if you want to go back to it, you're welcome to. So with that, I'd like to introduce Bev.
Okay, yeah, I do. Hi, everybody. So you can tell I'm not super formal, and I just need to thank you all for coming back into the sauna and sticking with us. And, I think I'm recognizing that most of you were with us at Mass tonight, and that beautiful gospel about the pearl of great price, and that homily, it's like the Spirit was working overtime. Because remember, he talked about something that you can give yourself fully to. And really, what I had decided to do is just do a shameless recruiting talk for chaplaincy, which I think is something you can give yourself to, something worthy of us and our gifts. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about chaplaincy and the work I do, and I'm going to invite you to prayerfully reflect. And why am I doing that? Because you are all clearly young Catholic professionals, well engaged in another profession, right? I sit on the board of the National Association of Catholic Chaplains, national organization. We have about 4,000 members who are all chaplains. I would say probably 3,880 of them were people like you, engaged in another profession, but people of deep faith, and I saw at Mass, you are people of deep faith. And sometimes God just comes and taps you on the shoulder and invites you into something deeper, that little tug that says, would you like something you can give yourself fully to? So, as you might imagine, chaplaincy is not typically something that you do when you're 22. My apologies to any of the 22-year-olds here. But to do chaplaincy, you have to have lived a little. And sad to say, you have to have suffered a little and to have had some loss in your life so that you understand that there are things that cannot be fixed. There are things that only God can understand, and as humans, the best that we do is to come alongside, to listen, to be present, to trust in the Spirit. And that's what chaplains do. How many of you even had a clue what a chaplain is or does? I see like 5 hands total. Okay, which is great. So I am actually the director of spiritual care for Ascension, Michigan. So we have 16 hospitals across the state, and I have about 50 chaplains, 50, 60 chaplains and priests. Actually, fun fact, no nuns anymore. They've all kind of aged out and retired. So the last one we lost a few months ago. But the majority of the Catholic chaplains, and these are people of all traditions. I even have a couple of imams. But the majority of the Catholic chaplains are laity. And this is a ministry of the church that is open to the laity. And most Catholics have no clue that that's an option for us, which means, very selfishly, when I am hiring chaplains, I think that a Catholic hospital ought to have at least one Catholic chaplain. Does that make sense to you? I can't find that person. I can't find prepared, ready Catholic chaplains able to step into those roles because Catholics have no idea that this is a door that is open to us. Now, we're not ordained, obviously, but the ministry that we do is a ministry of coming alongside. So I like to think chaplains sort of have one foot in ministry and kind of one in behavioral health a little bit, counseling, with a little social work thrown in there as well. We have a graduate degree in ministry or theology or some kind of thing like that. And then we do hands-on training called clinical pastoral education, which is basically an internship and a residency, just like a physician does. So when you are in the hospital, what a chaplain is doing is coming alongside, is praying, but not just praying. You're being present to the pain. You're being silent. We talk about a ministry of presence, and people think, oh, you do nothing. Sometimes we do nothing. But those are the moments when God is most present and most active. when we have the courage and the humility to know that we can't fix it, but to be vulnerable, to open ourselves, to be present to the suffering or pain of another, which is why this is not something most 22-year-olds are ready to do. What I will share is that we end up being present at a lot of death, at a lot of traumas, at a lot of codes, at a lot of the, probably the awfulest, most heartbreaking things that happen in a hospital. A chaplain is there. Chaplains are going to take care of that patient, regardless of their faith tradition. And we're a culture with a lot of nones, that's okay. Where do they find meaning? What is their connection to the transcendent? And how do we help deepen that and strengthen that? They're going to take care of the family members. They're also going to take care of the staff and the nurses. Some of you may be aware that the last year and a half has been really tough for people who work on the front lines of healthcare. Anybody here work in healthcare? Any nurses or physicians? So you know what I mean. And so chaplains try to come alongside and support and love and care those nurses so that they can go right back in and do what they need to do too. So, doesn't this sound like fun? Sometimes when I talk about my work, and I try never to do that at like social settings, because it tends to be like a real party killer, right? I don't know why, but the truth is, I've had people go, "Oh, that sounds so depressing." I say to you from my heart, it is the most meaningful, most beautiful experience of God that I know. I mean, God is present, right, in our lives every day on the street, but not like God is present in those rooms. And, I talk about the big M miracles, and they happen. But if you have eyes to see them, the little M miracles are all around us, and they happen over and over and over and over. And part of chaplaincy is pointing to how God is at work. I like to say we go into the dark places, but we point to the light. I don't bring Christ into that room. He was already there. I just point and help people see, and it transforms that experience. So, okay, maybe I'm a little, maybe it still sounds a little depressing, so I'm sorry, but I actually have some notes that I scribbled here. It's really hot, and I was going to share some stories with you. But how about if I leave that, I'll just leave that aside, because it's late and it's hot, and if you want to come and talk to me afterwards, I would so love that, and I could keep you here all night and tell stories, but I see people fanning, and you all have to get up for work in the morning. But there's that Choose Chaplaincy pamphlet, and I just want to plant that seed. Now, the other piece I'm going to share with you, how many of you had a mom or a grandma or a dad who's a Eucharistic minister, or who volunteered in the hospital, or who went and visited the homebound, or maybe went to senior living communities and brought Eucharist? Let me tell you, I see some heads. Usually when young people have strong faith, it's because somebody gave it to them, somebody taught them. One of the challenges of the past year is that we've shut down all volunteer programs, not just Ascension, but pretty much almost every hospital program. We're just starting to open up, kind of keeping our fingers crossed. But the reality is, most of the Eucharistic ministers who come so faithful in the hospital, they're like 80. That might be an overstatement. I would never say that to them. But they're like older than me, okay? And maybe God is tapping 1 or 2 or 10 of you on the shoulder to consider that ministry. It's a beautiful ministry. It is such a way of experiencing faith and living out faith and Christ, and especially in those senior living communities where sometimes nobody goes to visit, and the people who come to visit, gosh, everybody's got gray hair. And I don't see any gray hair in this room. Do you realize what a gift that is and what a gift you would be? So I want to just invite, and maybe there is one set of ears that God wanted me to speak to tonight. So I want to thank you all for allowing me to be present with you and to join you in this beautiful space for this beautiful worship. And how am I doing on time? Yep. I think you have earned the right to go home and get in the air conditioning. And God bless you. It makes my heart happy to see you, to see younger people who care and who cherish their faith. And I just have to close with, when I first got here, a couple people came up and said, "Oh, you must be Bev." And my first thought was, oh no, do I stick out that much? Like, do I look that much older? So then she reassured me and said that they'd had my picture, so I felt much better about that. Anyway, thank you all, and good night. And we have the Choose Chaplaincy brochures. I've got some business cards, and I'll hang out a little bit. Huh? Oh, we do questions. Oh, that's right, the texting thing. Yeah, okay.
All right, thank you guys. Thanks, Beth. I've got a few questions that are coming in. If you guys want to ask your own questions or add to them, you are also welcome to text me at 313-483-7272 or raise your hand and we can bring the microphone over to you. Sorry, the cell network's kind of slow, so it's taking a while to load this. Kind of adjacent to what you talked about as your experiences as a chaplain. This one is a little bit more professional. And it says, what has been the most difficult decision you had to make in professional life? Was it deciding to become a chaplain, or was it some other things that maybe leadership related or something?
There's been a lot. So I'm a mid-career chaplain, and I had 2 young children, and I worked across the street from the elementary school and next door to the Montessori school. And when I was going to begin training as a chaplain, it was in Toledo. And I thought, God, I can't do this. You know, are you crazy? And it took a lot of courage. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done, to step out in faith. And when I began that training, I'm thinking, you know, the only part-time jobs for chaplains are weekends and nights, and I have this young family, and what am I going to do? There's no way this is going to work. And God took care of me. At every step, He opened the doors. I mean, that would be a whole nother talk. I mean, in crazy ways that should never have happened. And that would be what I would say to each of you. If you're sitting here going, oh my goodness, a master's degree? No way. What I will say, because I know it, if God has put this on your heart, God will make a way. It may take a little courage on your part, but God will make a way. And part of what my role now is I try to help Him do that.
We got another question here. Being involved as a chaplain and kind of supporting people and helping, I guess, coach people to be better versions, are there times that you find struggling to make a connection spiritually or really question some of what God has done, or how do you do that?
Yeah. I remember when I was first training in my residency, a chubby, cute, adorable 2-year-old came in with the parents, and they were like, yes, she's got some bruises. And so I saw when they were there for like an evaluation visit. And then 6 months later, those of you with medical training, you know what that might be, and it was. And 6 months later, I see this 2-year-old who is bald and skinny and full of poke marks, and God and I had a talk. And at that moment, I remember saying, if this is your plan, I don't want any part of it. And I had a crisis of faith. I was already studying to be a chaplain, and I'm ready to, I don't know what kind of a plan this is, but it's a stupid plan. And my faith changed. And I understood that God doesn't give 2-year-olds cancer. But what God does is He surrounds them and their families with courage and grace and strength and beauty and faith. And that has been, but there have been a lot of times when God and I have had a little set to about some of the things, and He's always sat me down and helped me go deeper.
All right. There's quite a few of these questions, so I think we'll wrap it up as the last question. Do you have any suggestions, or how do you find locations to volunteer as visitors?
Call your local hospital, and now's weird, but many of them are opening up. If they're not open up, they will soon, I hope. Or senior living community. And if you call them and say, I would love to do this, they will welcome you with open arms. If you want to bring Eucharist, you have to be trained as a Eucharistic minister first within your parish. So if you reach out and let your priest know that this is something I'm feeling called to do, and then they will help you that way. But that training comes through the parish and the diocese. So, or you can call me too.
Thank you very much, Bev, and I would like to give you a token as we give our YCP speakers as well.
Oh,
just
thank you.
As a reminder, for priorities and peace, is the statue of St. Joseph the Worker, our patron.
Oh, beautiful.
Thank you very much, Bev.
Thank you all.
And now to close, I would like to invite Kevin France, our current, as of the end of this month, Vice President and Director of Finance, to lead us in final prayer.
Great. First, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. This is an absolutely beautiful church. I think it's always special. Is this good? All right. First, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight to this wonderful church and to our 4-year anniversary celebration. I'd like to thank Bev for spending her time with us and coming and giving a really touching and powerful talk on chaplaincy. So thank you very much once again. We have a couple quick announcements. If you haven't signed in yet, please sign in. I think there might be some people with some iPads signing some people in still. So if you haven't signed in yet, please sign in. It definitely helps us out by tracking how many people we have, so we know how much food to order. So it really helps us out. So if you haven't signed in, please sign in. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Alliance Catholic Credit Union, as well as Penske, for their continuing support of YCP Detroit. And you might have seen some of the people from our team during the talk coming around, passing out some QR codes. At this time, if you haven't filled out the survey yet on the QR code, please take a quick moment here to fill out the survey. It's important just to let us know, how we're doing, what you'd like to see, where we can move on. So if you still have that QR code survey, let's just take a brief moment to fill that out now. Alright, so some exciting news. Coming up on Friday, August 13th, there is Catholic Night at Jimmy John's Field up in Utica. If you are a YCP member, tickets are free. For non-members, they are $25. So once again, it's on August 13th. All the information will be released on our Facebook page on how to get tickets, so keep an eye on the YCP Detroit Facebook page for all the information in the next few days. Next month's Executive Speaker Series will be on Wednesday, August 27th at Old St. Mary's in Greentown. Our speaker next month will be Joe Bassett, who is the owner of Bassett Funeral Home. And for our after party tonight, that will be held at Thomas McGee's, just down the road. The best spot for parking is at Eastern Market. So Thomas McGee's after party, what we all need from here. Lastly, I would like to thank everyone one more time for coming out here tonight and making the first 4 years of YCP Detroit so successful. And here's looking forward to year 5 and continued success. As we do with all our events, we'll close with the St. Joseph Worker Prayer. It's found on the blue card that was passed out during the talk as well. So we'll pray that prayer now. Father, St. Joseph, by the work of your hands and the sweat of your brow, you supported Jesus and Mary and had the Son of God as your fellow worker. Teach me to work as you did, with patience and perseverance, for God and for those whom God has given me to support. Teach me to see my fellow workers, the Christ who desires to be in them, that I may always be charitable and forbearing towards all. Grant me to look upon work with the eyes of faith, so that I shall recognize in it my share in God's own creative activity and in Christ's work of our redemption, and so take pride in it. When it is pleasant and productive, remind me to give thanks to God for it. And when it is burdensome, teach me to offer it to God in reparations for my sins